Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hello and welcome to The Money Factor. I'm Richard Naylor, your host. Our topic today is goal setting, why it's important, psychological factors, and we'll even touch on some research about goal setting. Our guest is Dr. Tom Denham from Careers in Transition. We're working on a series of videos which you'll be able to access on the internet on many factors having to do with careers. And I want to welcome you back, Tom.
It's great to be back. We've got a great topic today.
You know, we were chatting a little bit before the show, and we were talking about what comes first. And we've done, you said 16 shows, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Where does goals fit in the whole process? You wanted to put it really early, and I wasn't sure about whether that should be before resumes or not, but I think there's some logical reasons why you're right.
Goals should be part of the self-assessment phase, which is the first phase of the career development process. And just to review for our viewers, there's self-assessment, number one, career exploration, number two, and action plan, number three. And so in self-assessment, you're looking at four things. You're looking at your values, your interests, your personality traits, and your skills. I call them VIPs.
Let's go through that a little slower,
Sure.
because that was fast.
Values.
Okay. That's
things that are important to you.
And so that's a profound thing, and it's very personal.
Yes. Interests, things you're passionate about. Personality traits, character traits. And finally, skills or things that you're good at.
Now, character traits, let's touch on that again, too.
Sure.
Elaborate.
Enthusiasm, energy, ambition, drive.
Okay.
Procrastination.
Maybe whether you want to be an entrepreneur or you're happy working with a larger group for some other project?
No.
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 Okay.
Procrastination.
So these are really
part of who you are.
Okay.
Before you match it to the world of work. You went to the next step there. You went to the matching of the world of work, which is okay.
I don't want to be confusing.
But we got to lay that foundation first, and
Okay.
that's what self-assessment is. It's a firm foundation, and that's why people have problems with their career development, is because they're going to step two, career exploration, or they're starting to do the action plan, which is either a job search, going back to school, or starting a business.
And you know, we mentioned college courses. What do you want to major in? And
right.
We need to do a show on that also.
We're going to do a show on...
I don't know how many of us, a few knew what they wanted to do, but I don't know how many students don't know what they want to do.
The number one major in college is undecided.
I think so.
So most students go to school and they really don't know what they want. They may think that they would know what they want, or they tell people something to get them off their back, but oftentimes they're changing their major during their college career.
Right.
Yeah, and then oftentimes they're
not even because of passion, just because they don't
well,
know.
they pick their major and then they get into the coursework, or they think they're going to intend and major in this area, and then through their coursework or internships or volunteering or just the college experience in general, they decide that that's not right for them.
So I can see why that fits into goals.
That fits into goals.
You know, one of my questions is about goals in terms of, well, how do you know what you want to do if really all you want to do is get out of this fear of not having enough money?
Can I jump back?
Please.
Why do we need goals in the first place?
That's a good question.
Okay.
I'm not going to answer it. It's your question.
I asked the question. Certainly different people have different philosophies on life. I tend to live an achievement-oriented, accomplishment-oriented life, and that's the way I'm made up. I just think that life is very short. There's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of things that I would like to see and experience in my life. And if I don't have a bucket list, it's probably not going to get done. And there's a lot of things on my bucket list, and I think everyone should have a bucket list.
Now, what would you say to somebody who is a little confused, for whatever reason? They're having a hard time making ends meet, and so there's a lot of stress in their life. And you ask them, well, what do you want to do? And they're like, I just want to stop shaking. I want to stop being afraid. I want to. So how do you get, I know you've got to do the career assessment and all that, but skipping that, How do you talk to somebody to get them out of that so that they can overcome these
Sure.
fears and just not knowing?
The first thing I would do is have them make an appointment with me. Okay, so it sounds like they've got a lot of what I call head trash or head clutter. They've got a lot of ideas, fear, running around wild in their head, but a lot of confusion about where they should go personally and professionally, probably. And that can only result in additional stress and anxiety. So again, going back to the first stage of the career development process, you do a very careful inventory of those VIPs. So I would want the person to write down 5 values, 5 interests, 5 personality traits, and 5 skills. So that would be the first homework assignment. And then I would start to ask them questions about what their goals are. And they may or may not know what their goals are. And that's why this is a process that takes place over time. So in the first session, I may be asking them about their goals, but it may take them a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before we meet again, before they have even some idea about what these goals should be. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to organize the goals into the triple P. You're thinking right there,
yeah.
What is the triple P?
That's the question.
The triple P is a way to categorize your goals into personal, professional, and play.
Works for me.
So you should also, in addition to having goals in these areas, you should have what's called a reach goal or a BHAG.
A reach I got.
A BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal.
So something really that you would call a stretch goal.
Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, once said, set a goal so high that if you achieve it, it'll blow your mind.
And even if you get halfway there, you'll still be looking down with a little bit of dizziness.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So every year I set a BHAG goal that I'm going to climb a major mountain. This is usually a mountain over 10,000 feet.
Yeah, I know. I worry about you sometimes.
Don't worry. Have faith. So my BHAG goal in 2011 was to climb Mount Shasta, which is out in California. This is a 14,000-foot peak. When you set a goal like that, you might have a little fear about how you're going to accomplish that. Any goal that was ever great, they never knew how they were going to accomplish it. So for example, if you look at Jack Kennedy and saying, we're going to go to the moon by the end of the decade, he had no idea what he was talking about. And then again in 1969.
And he didn't have to do it himself.
And he didn't have to do it. Right. But as you can see, in 1969, we did put our feet on the moon.
We did.
So it always starts with that vision. So people have to have a vision of their personal life, their professional life, and their play life.
Now, what's the difference between play and personal?
Climbing a mountain in California is
Probably
play.
personal. Okay, it's play, but
Personal could be finances, could be something that you do for fun, could be hobbies, could be relationships.
so
could
is it your
something,
personal situation?
It could be your personal situation. Could have something to do with your faith or your spirituality. Could have something to do with learning. A professional goal could be both a personal goal and a professional goal. Could be like, I'm going to get an advanced degree, for example. That could be personal and
right,
professional.
You know, we spend so much time on getting to the goal part. You know, what they are, why you want them. Because I think it's a lot of us don't have very concrete goals. And so part of the problem with goals, it seems to me, is getting to the point where you have enough clarity to realize you need to set one.
Right. Most people are not conscious. Most people are not living intentional lives. Most people are not living deliberate lives. Most people are just getting up in the morning, going through the motions, getting to the weekend, and then doing laundry, cleaning toilets, going to Price Chopper, and just watching some TV, relaxing for 5 minutes if they get a breath,
and once spending time on the
internet,
almost Monday.
and then it's almost Monday, and then people say, "Oh my gosh, it's already December. How did that happen?" Well, it actually goes by at the same rate every single year. There was a research study done by Dr. David Cole at Virginia Tech, and what he found out that was Americans, 80% of Americans, have no goals whatsoever. 80%. Of the 20% remaining, 16% had goals but never ever wrote them down. Of the 4% remaining, 3% had goals, wrote them down, but never reviewed them. and only 1%, the super achievers, had goals, wrote them down, and reviewed them on a regular basis. So if you just go up and down Wolf Road, 80% of the people don't have goals. If you asked 10 people, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Most of them would have absolutely no idea.
So I guess the next question is, how do you set them?
How do you set them? Goes back to your VIPs and what you hold to be important. When your goal setting is important because you don't want you to leave your life to chance. Now, obviously, you can't plan out 100% of your life. There are certain things that have happened in my life that I had to be open to and were not deliberate. So, but you have to decide, these are the things that are the most important to me. So if I set a goal in 2012 that I am going to climb this really big mountain out west, what I'm saying is I'm going to put my time, my attention, my financial resources, and if it's a mountain, my physical resources, into accomplishing this goal. That means I can't do other things.
And that's an important part of it.
That's an important part of it. So when people are sleeping at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm training, I'm making a sacrifice to achieve that goal that I think will be worth it to me.
Now you said goals for the 3 areas.
Yes.
So let's look at creating a goal for the work one, the career, the profession.
So I'm going to have my BHAG for the next year is to write a career book. So all the blogs that I write for the Times Union and Albany.com, I already have the book written. I just need to compile it and contact my publisher and complete that.
And now
so that's a professional goal, and that's actually a goal that it's very concrete. Now,
go ahead.
If somebody says, I'd like to get into better shape, that's not a goal, it's an idea, and I'll tell you why. Because a goal has to be a SMART goal. It's a formula. A SMART goal formula has to be specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-sensitive. If it doesn't fit into that formula, it's just an idea.
Now, to play devil's advocate, even though I agree with you,
yeah,
getting in better shape is a good thing. And isn't there, to some extent, we know what that is? I mean, if I weigh 300 pounds...
No, see, there you go. See, now you're just about to go into it. To say you want to get into better shape is not measurable.
And that's the important thing. So
right.
You can
so if you said
track.
I weigh 200 pounds and I want to weigh
140.
Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say I want to weigh 24 pounds less. That's specific. It's also measurable. But it's
176 is probably a pretty good weight.
Yeah. It's not action-oriented, though.
Okay.
Okay. So I'd have to say I want to weigh 176, and I'm going to work out 5 days a week, take 2 days off, and I'm going to have smaller portions with my meals. Okay.
So you actually have the action step built into the concept of the goal.
Well, you start with a goal. You start with a vision. You have a vision of yourself feeling better and being thinner and being in better shape. That it always starts with the vision, and that vision is based on your values. You want better health. You want to feel better. You want to look better. But this vision of getting to 176, it's not realistic. If I said I want to be 176 pounds in the first 2 weeks in January,
that wouldn't be realistic.
It's not realistic. But if I say I want to be 176 pounds by New Year's Eve 2012, now it's realistic. Because if you broke it down, you have to lose 2 pounds a month.
And that's okay.
It's a half a pound a week.
Doable.
Very doable. Extremely doable. And then it's also time sensitive. So that's a SMART goal.
Okay.
I'm going to weigh 176 pounds. I'm going to lose 24 pounds. I'm going to do it in a year. I'm going to have smaller portions, and I'm going to work out 5 days a week.
So in terms of a career.
Yes.
If you're setting a goal for a career, let's do the same thing. Another example. I don't know, you might want to open a company. You might just want to get out of the job that you're in and find something better. And I guess some of the other people are actually, they've lost their job and they need to find a job. So, I mean, is your goal, I want to have a job, I want that job?
There are 3 types of jobs. The 3 types of jobs are, number 1, ideal, or dream job. The second type of job is the realistic job, the backup job, or what is often known as a good enough job. And then the last type of job is the safety job, survival job, or the rock bottom job.
And that kind of covers all those situations.
Right. So if you've been laid off and you've been laid off for 6 months and you've been trying, you're probably not going to get your ideal. So you've got to look to the backup or the safety as to broaden your search. I encourage people to dare to dream. So if you're not in your ideal job now, you have to see where you are in the life cycle and come up with perhaps a 5-year plan to achieve that.
That's a long time.
It's a long time. I had a dream back in my 30s that I was going to get a doctoral degree. And the only image that I kept seared in my mind was me being hooded at the hooding ceremony in front of 10,000 people and my mom.
Well, that's how you know that it's done.
I kept putting things around the house that said Dr. Tom Denham. I would like print it up. And so if you visualize it, you can materialize it. If you visualize catastrophe, you're going to probably take that on. So it took me 7 years to do it, but I kept focused on that goal. So then when there were problems and obstacles and hurdles, I was keeping my eye on the end goal. You have to know what the end goal is. When I climb mountains, I'm always thinking about the summit. I'm enjoying the journey, but I'm also thinking about the summit. And I just feel like life is both about the destination and the journey.
Now you had an image, and my first thought there is, some people have an image, but then they don't know what it takes to get there, and they might be frustrated because what they're doing isn't leading them there. But so you must have had a plan to get you there.
I had no plan.
No
Initially.
plan. But how did
anytime you have a dream, as soon as you have the dream, there's no plan. Okay. Anyone who achieved something great had no idea how they were going to achieve it. So if you look so if you look at somebody like Christopher Columbus, I mean, he had no boat, he had no crew, he had no supplies, so he's got to go beg for this kind of thing. But he has this dream. He has this. He dares to dream. Martin Luther King Jr. Same thing. He's, an African-American minister from Atlanta is going to change the laws of this country. Absolutely impossible.
Mahatma Gandhi, the law clerk from...
They have no plan. Declaration of Independence. What a stupid idea. When you think about it. I mean, here are these people. We had no money. We had no army. And they decide we're going to set a goal. We're going to have this huge goal of creating this new form of government. And we're going to sign our names to this thing. And you know what's going to happen? King George is going to be really ticked off. He's going to send over his world-class army and world-class navy and kill us. So they had no idea how, the consequences.
Right. I'm reading a biography of Thomas Jefferson right now, and while I could go into some of the details, it's basically true that here you are.
This is why we have holidays.
And the exciting thing about this, if you put yourself in Thomas Jefferson's shoes or some of these people, the English really wanted to pick them up, take them back to England, and hang them, or cut their head off, or whatever. And that would have happened. This
is why we have holidays after people who dream, and not people who are accountants. No, God bless my accountant. But you have holidays after Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King Jr. and Christopher Columbus and people who dare to dream. People. But anyone who's had a dream or a really big BHAG is often ridiculed because it's not realistic. But you do not reach your potential if you're constantly realistic. That doesn't mean you can't make strategic choices or strategic risks. So if I were to go out and climb Mount Shasta today and get on a plane over at the airport, it would be a total failure because it's not well thought out or well planned. So you begin with a goal first, and then you work backwards, set yourself a timeline of how you're going to do that. So when I was trying to climb Mount Shasta, I had a Post-it note at home that said, what are you going to do to prepare for Mount Shasta today? Not next week, not when you have more time, today. So I would take what I would call micro goals in order to do that. The micro goals will feed up to the larger goals, which feed up to the larger goals, which get me there. I also came up with a timeline of what I needed to do each month. So work backwards.
So what part in all this is motivation?
Well, there's three pillars of success. There's three essential pillars for success. One, you have to believe in yourself, you have to believe in something, and you have to have people believe in you. You have to have someone believe in you. Believe in yourself, believe in something, and have someone believe in you. So keep using Mount Shasta as an example. I believed in myself. I believed I could do it. I believed that this venture was important, not only to me, but it was a charity climb, so I raised $3,000 for Girls Incorporated. And the other thing is people believed in me. Over 102 people, 102 people gave me money for this charity climb. So they were obviously believing in me. But the other thing I did was I asked some of my closest friends to write notes to me. I call them notes of encouragement. So when we were at our high camp and we were just about to summit that the next day, I read 16 notes of encouragement from my friends. And that gave me some motivation. I didn't necessarily need that, but it was just over-the-top motivation.
It seems like that would also help because now you've said to all these people that this is what you want to do, and so your image is on the line here.
Right, your reputation is on the line. When you verbalize or vocalize your goals, you're more likely to achieve them. One, because you're going to bring people into your life that are going to hold you accountable, but also they may bring you resources that would help you. So if I say, I'm going to go climb Mount Shasta, somebody might say, oh, one of my friends did that like 2 years ago. And then I would say, well, who is that person I would want to contact there? And that would give me some feedback and maybe have a more successful climb. But you're right. When you state what your goals are, if you do not even attempt to achieve them, you're not walking the talk.
And that would be embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. So you have to be very careful with your goals, and goals should be written out. And I've been writing my goals out and revising them, canceling them. I don't achieve all of my goals. I probably achieve 80% of my goals, but 20% I don't achieve for one reason or the other. Then what you have to do at the end of the year, the month, or the quarter, or whatever, is you have to review your goals. Did you not achieve this? Why did you not achieve this? What was the barrier? Or you may even evaluate it and say, I didn't want to achieve it in the first place. It was a stupid goal.
Something was wrong with your thinking, I guess, but...
Right.
Yeah.
I had a goal. I wanted to have a dog. And every year I got to the end of the year and I didn't have a dog.
So maybe you really did want to have a dog.
And now thinking about it, I have a 12-year-old child, and I really don't want to take on another child, and that's what a dog is. And I have a very adventurous lifestyle, and I'd like to include the dog in that. It's really quite a lot of responsibility. So I didn't achieve that goal. I'm okay with that. I would much rather have people have a whole litany of goals and only achieve 3 or 4 of them.
But at least they're achieving something.
They're achieving some. And they don't have to, goals don't have to be as big as climbing Mount Shasta or climbing Mount Everest. One of the goals I set for myself every summer is I'm going to take my daughter to a Valley Cat skin. And given her busy schedule, there was one game that we could go to this summer. And we went to it. Now, we could have easily, done something else that night, but I made it a priority. What I said was, this is really important to me. And as a result, I look back on the year and say, I'm glad I did that.
In preparing for the show, I found an article that is called New Directions in Goal Setting Theory. And reading through it, I found a number of questions and a lot of interesting things. It's one of these articles where they go through 25 years of research. There were 400 studies that they looked at. Many of the things you're talking about, but what struck me right in the beginning was there doesn't seem to be any doubt that goal setting is important and that it works.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions that came to me when I read this had to do with the self-esteem that somebody has when they take on something, as well as the reasons they take on something when they set a goal. So self-esteem seems to be something that everybody would fight against. I mean, you need to have some confidence that you can climb Mount Shasta or that it's possible. Somebody else might look at you and say, of course you can. You're a talented person. Why are you doubting yourself? But how does somebody approach that problem of building up their feeling that they can do something?
Well, it has to go back to when they were successful in the past and recalling that. Oftentimes we have a lot of negative self-talk where we say things like, I don't think I can do that, it's too much time, too expensive, I can't do this, I can't do that. And this happens a lot with my career counseling clients. It's almost like in their mind they're saying to themselves, I'm a loser. Now if I said to them, you're really a loser, they would be absolutely offended by that. And so I tell them, stop calling yourself a loser. So when it comes to goal setting, we tend to be the deal breakers. We tend to be the ones that are in the way. I haven't had one person that said I couldn't climb Mount Shasta. Also because I have a track record of it.
And maybe you don't hang out with really negative people.
I don't hang out with negative people.
Because I can see that being the case
yeah,
in some people's lives.
Yeah. The force is strong with me. Yeah, you have to have a certain level of self-esteem. You have to look back on your past. When were you successful in the past? What did it feel like? How did you set that goal? Could be, I got my bachelor's degree, I got my associate's degree. I achieved, what was the achievement that you were the most proud of? And think about how you set that goal and how you achieved it. If you're successful in small things, you're going to be successful in large things. It also goes back to how badly do you want it? I mean, I wanted that doctoral degree pretty bad, that I was willing to give up 7 years of my life to obtain it. And so I can remember in one summer, it was July, it was absolutely a gorgeous day, and I was stuck in the Bethlehem Public Library typing up this paper. I was willing to make that sacrifice in order to achieve that. I'm willing to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning so that I can be on the top of a 14,000-foot peak, because that's what's personally satisfying to me. But people have to change the way they think about things. They have to think about possibilities. Oh, just one other thing I just remembered. Your success is important, and not only to you. So when I'm thinking about climbing a mountain, I'm thinking about how I can inspire people. That summit is not just about me. It's about my daughter. If Dad could climb all these major mountains, I bet you I could go to med school. My dad was always doing something out of the box. So not only to her, but my clients, my family, my friends, I want to be an inspiration.
I think there was something else in here that's a little harder to get at, and that is, it has to do with motivation. It has to do with why somebody is trying to achieve something. And it seems when you lose yourself a little bit and you're genuinely interested, when you forget all the baggage,
yeah,
and suddenly you're just confronted with the mountain or with the image of achieving this goal. Maybe it's running a company. Maybe it's not putting the hood on. Maybe it's being this accountant, but not just for a small company, but you'd like to progress and become somebody who writes new Gaffney rules or something. When you're really interested in the whole thing, you would be much more successful than if you're saying, people think I'm a loser, I need to do this.
You have to be absolutely convicted of your passions and love of it. There was a psychologist by the name of Csikszentmihalyi, and he wrote this book called Flow. And flow experience is where...
I could never pronounce that word.
I can't even spell it either. It's quite the interesting thing. But if you Google flow, you'll find it. And what
I have it on my shelf, by the way.
Oh, you do? Okay, yeah, it's a fantastic book. And what it means is that whenever you are so passionate about something, you lose all sense of time and space, and you're just in it.
You're with it.
You're with it. You're one with it, and that's when you are operating at your best. So, for example, I'll have clients that I'll be working with, and each appointment is an hour and a half, and I'll look at my watch and it'll be 2 hours. And that's an indicator to me that I'm doing the work that I was called to do.
That's really neat.
So, but you have to suspend the reality and say, this is what I'm passionate about. Oftentimes in our childhood, we have passions, but then we become adults and we become the deal breakers. So one of the things that I do is I always tap into my clients, what did they like to do back in high school or college that they've neglected? Oftentimes it's art, photography, and traveling and things like that they have just not made it a priority. When you're setting goals, you're saying yes to these things and no to these things.
You've drilled into me enough by now, after our 16 shows or something, the different types of jobs, the dream jobs, the backup job, and just something to keep you afloat until you can get something else. And so I think that really falls into place with this also when you're dreaming. You're keeping your foot on the floor. You know that you have to keep a path in front of you. Sometimes you might have to build that path in front of you with some obstacles, like I have to manage to pay for this and I have a family,
right,
but this is my dream. But it seems that the picture comes out that you need to personally feel that this would be enjoyable for you as well as your family.
That's right.
And this is your job, but by doing that, you're also going to be able to figure out how to make the money to support your family as well.
If you don't have a dream, you don't have much. You have a JOB. And JOB stands for just over broke.
I thought it was job, but
just over broke.
Good.
You know, if you don't have a dream, you don't have much. You don't have anything to look forward to. And I think everyone should have something to look forward to. I think people hold themselves back from reaching their potential. People, if you have a job and you're just going through the motions, you're never going to reach your potential. It's okay with what you're doing with right now, but when you reach those milestones of 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and you will reach those, you want to look back and say, wow, that was a fantastic experience. I got to do the things that I wanted to do because I was deliberate about it, rather than wasting time. So much time is just putzing around and wasted.
Even it might be boring, but let's finish up by helping somebody get started. Do they start with a piece of paper and a pencil, a computer and a keyboard? Do they write something?
Whatever works for them.
And how much do they write?
You know, whether it's in the shower or...
but you write it down.
It has to be written down. People don't have to write... People will write down goals the way they want to write down goals. They will put them in their computer. They will put them in a notebook. I write my goals down. My goals for 2012 are my personal and play goals are all written down on one sheet of paper. I put it in a sheet protector in my life goals binder.
And that's all you need, one sheet of paper.
It shouldn't be anything longer than that. Because again, we don't want them to get too extensive that you have too many goals that you're too scattered. That's why I have these things in priority order too. Like that's why the BHAGs come first. So I'm not, worried about the micro. A lot of the micro goals down here, like Valley Cat's game, I don't want to get too overconsumed by those that they distract me from the larger goals up here. But again, it comes down to desire. Even before that, it comes down to a consciousness that you value your life, and what you accomplish in life is important, and not only to you, it's important to your friends, your family, the larger community. If I write this book, hooray for me and my bank account, but it's more about how can I change lives. The other thing is, how can I leave a legacy for my daughter? Her dad will always know he wrote this great career book that might be used, 100 years from now. Who knows? So writing things down, very important, and you want to revise them. Maybe you'll reorganize them. If you're in the car and you're thinking, gosh, my travel goal for 2012 is to go to Gettysburg, which is one of my travel goals with my daughter. I'll write it on a Post-it note so I don't forget it.
Now, what about the steps, though, with this? Okay, you've got one thing written down. Sometimes I find that I'm not taking my next step because I haven't broken it into the right kind of part. I haven't seen exactly what I have to do. Okay, I've seen it too generally, and now I realize, oh, well, that can is right there, or that pen, or...
Right, so once you've got this list of goals down, now let's get to the how-to. How do you achieve it? Actually, even before this, you should write a vision statement of your personal and professional and play life, where you want to go ideally. So once you've got that down, what you need to do is look at a calendar. Look at a month at a glance, for example. You look at the whole month. You start at the beginning of the month and you say, this month will be a total success if I. Nice. And you write these things down. Then you break it down even further. You would say, this week will be, here's Monday. This week will be a total success if I do these 5 things. 5, 10, whatever you want. Then on Friday you evaluate, and then you take the weekends off.
That sounds really different than a calendar where all the things I have to do in the next year. This sounds like maybe you should keep it by itself, and this is my goals calendar.
You can. My work, my personal, professional, play calendar are all in one place, so I can see.
But you're kind of a master at this already.
Well,
I could see
somebody... I do for a living. Hopefully, I want to model the way. I want to be a good example of goal setting. But I also, with my calendar, I can look at the whole year. Because what I want to do on December 31st, 2012, is I want to look at that whole year and say, 2012 was a total success because I got these things done. Then I'll work backward month by month to do those things. In terms of my networking, how many radio shows, how many TV shows, how many mountains I want to climb. But I'm going to start at the beginning of the year and say, I want to be on my 200th mountain by my 46th birthday. And then I can prioritize in the calendar what weekends I need to do that in order to achieve that. Also balancing my personal life too. I can count on one hand how many soccer games I've missed that Rachel's played in the last 8 years.
That's good.
So it's balancing what I want, but also what is best for her too. So you got to keep breaking these things down. Then once you have it down from the annual to quarterly to monthly to weekly, then you have to say, what am I going to do today?
Now, but you mentioned a 5-year, so for something that big, how would you handle that?
Well, you have to say, okay, so I'm 45 right now.
Or 7 years. It took 7 years to get your PhD.
Yeah, let's move past that one. Okay, so I'm 45 right now. I have written down on a piece of paper, typed out, by 50, I will be, and I have these 18 things on there,
Okay.
typed up and that kind of thing. So I've got to think about, okay, what do I need to do each year to achieve these things?
Okay.
In terms of the amount of retirement money, I want to be on my 250th mountain. I want to have climbed these mountains. I'm going to raise $15,000 for charity. These things.
Okay, so yeah.
That's going to be great.
Right. So if you wanted to hike all 46, is it 46 high peaks?
Yes.
Then you probably wouldn't do that all this year.
No,
Or the Appalachian Trail for to throw it.
Yeah, I mean, you can climb the Adirondack 46 in a summer, or you can be realistic and you can do it in 5 years. If you did it in 5 years, it would be 10 a year. So, yeah.
So
10,
kind of a weekend thing.
Yeah, 9, 10 a year, something like that. You don't have to quit your job to do something like that. I'm going to raise $15,000 for charity in the next 5 years by climbing a major mountain, and I will not even have to miss a soccer game for that, because of how I'm planning my time deliberately.
It sounds pretty interesting.
It's going to be great, and I'm going to expect a couple thousand from you.
Well,
a donation.
Small checks, maybe.
That's right. We'll start small. We'll
Okay.
start incrementally.
Anything I should have asked you that's on your mind that you're thinking, why didn't he ask me that?
I think goal setting is important. I want people to know that it doesn't really matter to me what your goals are. What matters to me is that your goals matter to you. And they can be something as, I'm going to go for a 15-minute walk every day. Or it can be, I'm going to write the great American novel, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, or I'm going to get a PhD. It really doesn't matter, but you should have goals because you want to order your life, and you want to take advantage of all the things that life has to offer. So we don't get to the end of the game and go, I didn't take the trip to Italy, I didn't take that cross-country trip, I wish I'd gone and visited my Aunt Muriel on Cape Cod. A little bit more, those kinds of things.
I wanted to be an engineer, I should have been an attorney, I should have been a judge.
You don't want to get to the end of your life and said, I woulda, I coulda, and I shoulda.
Sounds smart.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And people can contact me, and I'd be happy to sit down with them and do some goal setting. It's fun. I had fun, and I was in flow today, so it's amazing that the show is over now.
It can be fun, yeah. Just shows. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's show, that you tune in again next time, and that you have a great week. Take care.
Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.